You've tuned in to the Top 10 Gardener with garden expert Ken Lain. Join him daily as he answers timely garden questions that are sure to make a difference in your gardens. Now welcome your host, Ken Lain.
And we are back with Lisa Lain in the studio. She comes in this segment's just for her to get another gardener's perspective. And Lisa was raised in a garden center. I think you were born here behind the mulch pile or something. Your parents brought this is daycare for you. It was everything. It was. And so it's in your blood, so to speak. Mm-hmm. So your father, Harold Waters, started the garden center back in 1962. This will be our 62nd spring open house in a couple of weeks. I'll make sure everyone gets an invite to that, but should be exciting times. So I wish he was here to see that. We lost him a couple of years ago, and he would be proud of the garden center. And now our kids are, well, Mackenzie, our daughter,
one of our children,
our youngest child, is now training to take it for the third generation of garden center owners. So it's kind of in our blood.
It's fun, and it's spring, and I always think of Dad of spring because his birthday was March 17th, and he just loved spring.
Yeah, I mean, that was the thing.
He loved the trucks arriving, plants blooming, new variety. He loved everything about that.
Yeah.
So,
he'd been retired 20 years. He'd still come in and see a plant that needed watering. He'd pick up a hose. It was in his blood. He just loved that. So anyway, Harold Waters, we miss you.
Definitely.
Anyway, what do we got for this segment? What are we sharing? I see a bunch of blooming plants in the studio.
So I can
smell them now.
You can smell them. I wish I could. No, we got some really cool plants that just came in. It's a great time to find them, because if you wait too much longer into the season, June, July, you're going to miss. They're not going to be around. Plus, you want to get them in now and enjoy the plants and a lot of the blooms that they have on them.
A lot of folks don't realize that garden centers, there's a crop rotation. We have a 52-week calendar called a grow calendar, and we'll look at week 23. We want to have this blooming, and then we count back on when to start the cuttings, the soil, when to start the seed. And so it's pretty accurate. And so the goal is to run out of that crop before it's done blooming, and then have the next week's crop rotation come in. And so there's a finite season. So if you're searching plants, you're going, oh, I really like that flowering heath you've got. You're going to tell us about. I really like that. It's an evergreen thing. Oh my gosh, I want one. And you wait 6 weeks. They're no longer here. It's long gone. So it's been gone for 3 weeks already.
Definitely.
So you really want to grab those things while you see them, especially the bigger, slower growing things, trees. When they're gone, it's some of those trees. We've got some that are 10, 15 years old. When they're gone, there's no more behind them. It's not like you go get more of them, bring them in. They're just out.
You got to wait.
So you grab them while you can.
Yeah. So one of the ones I wanted to talk about, which a lot of people don't think about being a spring bloomer, but it actually is beautiful when it blooms, is the manzanitas.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So we got the chieftain and the panchito and kinnikinnick. So kinnikinnick is the ground cover, stays low to the ground, has a really pretty pink blossom to it. Chieftain and panchito both get about 2 foot by 4 to 5 feet. Nice evergreen shrubs for out there in your yards, low maintenance. Love the sun, low water usage. Critters don't bother them.
Yes,
so it's got everything you want.
I would just water by hand until they get started. So just abuse them, to kind of kick dirt at them, curse at them. They'll grow better like that.
Well, maybe don't curse at them. But nice bunch that came in, and they are so pretty when they bloom. They have like a little pink bell-shaped flowers to them.
They're
very quite attractive.
True.
Yeah,
they bloom early, so when the bees start foraging, there's not that much out for them.
Right.
But they really like the manzanita.
Yeah, so definitely check those out. We also got the heath in, the Mediterranean heath. So I brought an example in to show you. So this one is the pink Mediterranean heath. Yeah. It also comes in white. We got those in 1 gallon and 3 gallon.
Ooh, big boys. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they're beautiful. And I would tell you, you were talking about the bees. We literally got these in late yesterday afternoon and put them out. When I went out to grab one for the show, there were bees, just happy as could be. So if you want to bring some bees into your yard, those early pollinators, this is a terrific plant for that. This one is also evergreen, so it's going to bloom for a really long, extended period of time. But when it's done blooming, the foliage is like a real ferny green, just very delicate, but very pretty,
Does
even
great in
without the blooms.
containers. Is it
Yeah.
real pretty as a pot
Yeah.
in a container plant,
Right.
raised beds
Mhm.
next to a driveway. We've grown this in Skull Valley in full sun.
Mhm.
It'll take shade. It's really
Very
versatile.
adaptable. Yeah.
Elk didn't eat it. A few folks at the higher
Yeah.
elevations. The deer don't bother it. It's just a good hardy plant
Mhm.
for here. If you want an alpine looking type of perennial flowering plant, look no further than Mediterranean heath.
Yeah, especially for those early bloomers.
Oh yeah.
And I think they get 4 by 4.
Yeah, I think
Little
4 is
smaller?
a bit optimistic.
3 by
I'd say
3?
3 by 4. It
Okay.
gets wider than it is taller.
Taller. Okay,
When I've
yeah,
seen really
you're right.
mature ones.
You're right. Yeah.
So, but it just keeps spilling out.
Mhm.
So it has this fern looking. It's hardier than a fern, especially in the sun. And then animals don't bother.
Mhm.
Again, another pollinator.
Yeah, so great little plant to check into right now. We also got some of more of our lilacs in, but we got a bunch of the bloomerang lilacs.
Nice.
So this is the dark purple bloomerang. Great spring blooming plant, but the wonderful thing about bloomerangs is they will bloom 2 to 3 more times throughout the season. They're also a little smaller than your standard lilacs. They're going to get probably 4 by 4.
They're pie.
They also do very well in containers. I think
They
we
do.
have one in container, don't we? Yeah. So
That's great.
and just as fragrant. A lot of people go, well, is it as fragrant? Yes, it is.
If the flowers are a little bit smaller,
Yeah.
but there's way more of them. It's
it's
like 3
just
times the volume
covered.
of flowers. This whole plant is covered in flowers,
Beautiful.
but each of the pinnacles are a little bit smaller.
Still a great shrub,
Yeah.
container, landscape.
That's
Perfect
another
for
one.
that.
We will run out of that. So that's one. We introduced that one a few years ago, and it's gaining popularity. Where we keep upping the quantity, we grow more, and then we run out. And so that's when you grab it while you can, especially the larger ones. They won't be around by the end of spring. They're all gone.
True. And then we also got some, I mentioned it because a lot of people want the old-fashioned common purple lilac that grandma grew. And we did get those in, and they're actually surprisingly hard to find because they've changed them throughout the year, trying to encourage different growths and that kind of stuff. But we do have some of the old common purples in as well. And then for those shady areas in your yard, we've got a wonderful selection of azaleas in. Kind of all different colors, pinks, purples, whites.
It's exciting.
So beautiful azaleas some are evergreen, some go dormant in the winter. So we have a couple different varieties there. We got our rhododendrons in. Where there again, lots of really different, beautiful colors, just bright purples, bright pinks, fuchsias, that type of thing. So good time to check those out. They're definitely your shade lovers. They like the shade.
People don't realize you can grow those here, and they're just so. They've got a waxy leaf to them, so it makes them very efficient on their water use. They're evergreen. Animals don't eat them, so they've got a lot going on that way. So they're just pretty. Put them on a drip system, treat them like your other plants in the yard, and they're happy with that. The secret was that bit of shade that afternoon.
Midday, afternoon shade, because we get hot here in the summer. We also get in our lily of the valley shrubs. So Pieris, right? And lily of the valley shrub. We got 3 different varieties in. I brought in the silver linings or flaming silver to show you. So this one has a variegated leaf to it.
This is where it pays to stream this through Spotify or Apple, because they do the video version of this. Whereas Podbean and Google and some of the others, they just do the audio version. They don't have that video piece. But
you can see us.
Well, for those that aren't just terrestrial airwaves, we'll describe it to you. You'll smell the fragrance here shortly.
So this one is the variegated lily of the valley shrub, and they call it lily of the valley shrub because of the blooms that it puts on. And I'm running out of time, so you're just going to have to come in and see it. But it is a beautiful plant. Loves the shady spots in the yard, and we have 3 different varieties of the Pieris.
With that, we are out of time, Lisa. Thank you very much. Okay. So Pieris, or Lily of the Valley. Ken and Lisa Lain, the Mountain Gardeners. Be right back after this. Waters garden companions of February are peony, Calgary carpet juniper, pinyon pines, and lily of the valley.
Lily of the Valley is a gorgeous shrub that loves growing in the summer shade.
This bold evergreen delights with dramatic, fiery growth in spring.
Fragrant wedding cake layers of white flowers hover on graceful arching stems.
Each dainty flower is utterly detestable to deer and javelina.
Shop the most perennial shrubs in Prescott by store or online at wattersgardencenter.com. You're listening to garden expert Ken Lain, owner of Waters Garden Center in Prescott. Look for more tips, tricks, and garden shortcuts through Ken's website. Additional shows of this podcast, read his weekly garden column, or follow him on Facebook, Instagram at wattersgardencenter.com. That's Waters with 2 T's, gardencenter.com.